Former President Trump issued his latest indictment of Fox News on Thursday, accusing the cable news giant of pushing Nikki Haley, his former ambassador to the United Nations, who is challenging him for the Republican nomination for president. Trump has previously accused Fox News of favoring Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in the GOP primary. Haley, who is a former South Carolina governor, has recently surpassed DeSantis in some early state polls. Fox has totally given up on Ron DeSanctimonious and is on their next journey, pushing Nikki Birdbrain Haley, who stated loudly and often that President Trump was a great president. I would never run against him. Well, so much for that, Trump wrote on Truth Social. Fox and Friends just put out a hand-picked Haley acolyte who absolutely gushed Birdbrain. It was really something to behold, so obvious and lame. The former president has been feuding with Fox for months, skipping the first two GOP primary debates, which were hosted by the network, citing his large polling lead and frosty relationship with the outlet. The New York Post, which like Fox is owned by billionaire media mogul Rupert Murdoch, earlier this week panned Trump for his birdbrain insult of Haley. Trump's campaign said over the weekend that the former president's team sent a bird cage and bird food to a hotel room Haley was staying in after the former president made the comments about her. Despite his repeated criticisms of Fox, Trump has made regular appearances on the network in recent months, including town hall events and exclusive interviews with some of Fox's top talent. So, I'm not some great, what's the way of putting it, decipher of what comments are good or are not. But why Birdbrain for Haley? Like, I get Crooked Hillary, I get Lying Ted, even Crazy Bernie to some extent. They say it was radical, but I don't understand Birdbrain for Haley. Um, there's there's no rhyme or reason for it. It's like he had a hat with a bunch of terms in there and pulled one out and was like, all right, I'll use this. The polling is not really showing that much of a. I guess it's like this: if Haley ends up being in second place, it's still not going to be that damn impressive because DeSantis, even as he's falling and tumbling and stumbling across the whole U.S., he's only 4-3 2 points behind her in a lot of these polls, and you could say that theoretically, since we have all of this month, November, December to go, there's still a chance for him to regain the number 2 spot. The part of this I find the most absurd is where we get into Trump saying that Fox is they want DeSantis and I'm going to skip your debates, but I'm going to still keep showing up on your network anyway because this is the outlet that most of my voter base probably uses out of any of them. No, I'm just I don't understand the point of that nickname. And as far as Fox pushing her, I think you could say the same thing about most of the mainstream outlets. I remember after the first debate, you had Scarborough and Mika talking about, oh, did you see Haley? She was so good. As far as praising her performance, I know CNN wrote an article too at one point. So there is a push by mainstream media for Haley, but it's not just Fox. It's like in general, they're kind of what it is that every now and again you get some typically young person with a decent background in politics that the media tries to prop up as a person who can be a serious contender if they just had enough votes. They did the same thing with Rubio in 2016. This followed suit in 2020 with both O'Rourke and Pete. So every cycle, there's like that person who's somewhere between their 40s to 50 or even 30s that the media just gives a tongue bath to when it comes to favorable coverage and oh, what an inspiring story and the adversity they faced, to distract from the fact that oftentimes they're an empty suit who on the basis of policy really has nothing to offer that would make them a justifiable candidate to support over any of the others. And I really think Haley is just seeing symptoms of that, because what position does she have that Trump doesn't have? Like what specific thing is she supporting that makes her a better candidate than him or Biden? Or they don't tell you. So I do agree that Fox is pushing her, but it's really just the mainstream media altogether. They do this every 4 years with some young person that they give gushing praise to, and then when the person doesn't win or turns out to be an empty suit, they can say, "Oh, they didn't win because of their gender or their ethnicity or their orientation," because it's all just optics. Um, and there are some things about Haley that can be admired. I do think the debate performances were solid. I think that there have been some rumblings about her campaign has been in some cases smarter than other ones, because she actually does spend a considerable amount of time in those two states, and greets people and just as generally. I've read a little bit of material about it. So there are things that you could praise in the most general of sense, but to say that the media is not pushing her, I think would just be a person lying to themselves. Um, but then again, I mean, I kind of get it, because if the media doesn't push her, who's left? You have, um, I mean, I guess they could with Christie, but he's already slated to not pick up any states besides maybe New Hampshire, and even there, he's not exactly polling number two. They really don't want Trump again because of the indictments and just a problem they've had with him ever since 2015. They don't want DeSantis because they view him, or Ramaswamy because they view them as Trump light. So she's really the only one they can prop up and not feel a sense of kind of, what are we doing here? Even though again her positions are pretty similar to the others, but I digress.